guys, it's Biz from My Busy Kitchen. Welcome back to my channel, because I think if I have 10 videos, that means I actually have a station on YouTube. But I'm calling this Pizza 2.0. I get a lot of questions a lot of times. Pretty much every question is answered on my blog, but I realize people don't like to read all that often. They like to watch videos instead. I totally get that. I do the same thing. So I thought I'd give you just a couple tricks, tips, you know what I mean. Much like my Instagram stories, I don't edit any of my videos, so this is what you get. So I made a double batch of dough on Friday. Today's Sunday. I just put a little bit of press and seal on top. Normally, if I was going to use it, like I normally don't put anything on top, but people think because it has like sometimes gets a film on top that, but you're making pizza, you won't taste it anyway. So that's why I sometimes don't go to the trouble. So some people have said that their dough is really sticky, and I will tell you the reason why is probably because you've added too much water to start with. So in my recipe, 2 cups of self-rising flour. The only reason I use self-rising flour is because it's less points than regular flour for whatever reason. Regular flour is just fine. So especially in this pandemic, if you can't find self-rising flour, just use regular flour. That's just fine. So it's 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of yeast. I will show you what if you need to proof your yeast in just a second. A teaspoon of salt, half a cup of Greek yogurt, and then a half to 3/4 of a cup of water. Sometimes I've even had to add a whole cup of water, depending on how humid it is outside, different conditions. I have no idea what the difference is, but start at just a half a cup and then stir it for a couple minutes. I just use a fork and a bowl, and if it just is not coming together, there's still a lot of flour in there, just add a tablespoon at a time, and then to put it in again. You might think, oh, it needs more, and then now you've got too much. So start with less water. So hopefully that works. And then I always wet my hand first before I put it in the dough, and then it doesn't stick to my hands. So that's how I start. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to proof your yeast if you think that your dough is not rising. So hang on. I do get a lot of questions asking how come their dough doesn't rise as much as they see some others, and if you feel like proofing your yeast, you can. This has only been in there for like 2 minutes, not even. So it's the half a cup of water that's called in the recipe, and then a teaspoon of the yeast, and then just a teaspoon of sugar. And you can see how it's all bubbly and everything like that. So this will be the liquid that you start with, and only add a tablespoon at a time as needed. So for this deep dish pizza, I think this, it's a 6-inch, I think. These are cheap. I think this is like $11.95 on Amazon. So if you don't have a budget for a baking steel, just get a Lodge Cast Iron Skillet. I've got 5 ounces here. I'm just gonna roll this out a little bit, get it in there, and get the toppings on. Get asked all the time what kind of baking steel I have. I've had this for 4 years. It's janky because I never really took care of it. You're supposed to like really wipe it clean. It's fine. It weighs a ton. I don't know how much this weighs, maybe 10 pounds. But I always use parchment paper. So I've had people build their pizza on the parchment paper, then take the pizza off the parchment paper and try to get it on the steel. No. People just leave it on there all the time. I'm also going to show you, if you don't have a baking steel, how you can do it in a cast iron skillet. You'll get just as good a crust on that as well. So I prefer more of like a pan pizza than a true deep dish pizza. It's got a little bit of a dough on it. So once I get it in here, I just rolled it out to about the size of here, and then I'm just going to use my hands to like press it up the sides a little bit. Then I always do cheese first for deep dish pizzas because I want the crust to stay crunchy, and if the sauce gets on here first, the sauce kind of leaches into the dough before it has a time to crisp up. So I'll show you the different layers that I do. All right, so my pizza's ready for the oven. The sausage is raw. do not double cook your sausage before you put it on your pizza, because then your pizza is going to taste like ass. You don't want that to happen. So I promise you, even though I'm cooking this at 425, it's still going to cook. So this is going to take about 15 minutes to cook. So let's get it in the oven. Oh, and the topping is lightly dried basil, which I couldn't find fresh basil, so I figured I'd give this a try. And the sauce is Rouse, and don't count points for that. Just don't. All right, so I'll show you how I roll it out. And I actually like when you guys send me pictures and all different shapes and sizes of your pizzas. I think it's really cool. But a rolling pin will only get you so far. So I just basically start out this way. I don't really count the extra points for the flour on here. It's not a whole lot. So don't overthink it. And then I'll show you how I put it on the parchment paper. So that's good. Just make sure you can get it off here. So I'm just gonna set that to the side for a second. I got this parchment paper at Sam's Club, but just because it's a huge roll, I've probably had that roll for 4 months now, I think. So this is where you're gonna build your pizza. It's always gonna stay on here, and then you lift this up and take it to your baking steel or cookie sheet, whatever it is. You don't want to try to pick this off of there. So here's how I shape it after I've rolled it out. And you just take your hand and kind of go all the way around and just make it into a circle. That's really all it is. But you'll never get this if you try, because if you do it with a rolling pin, one side's gonna get all janky and stuff like that. So now for a thin crust pizza, I will add the sauce first. And I just started getting this Rouse pizza or pasta sauce. Holy shit, is it good. It is worth every penny. So I'm gonna do that. I forgot my sausage. Hold on, I'll be right back. And like I said, always put your sausage on raw. And I just do, I don't know, it's like about the size of a dime, maybe a nickel, something like that. And just go all the way around. I'm not really measuring, I'm just kind of showing how you do it. But this is probably about an ounce of sausage, which runs you 3 points, which I think is bullshit. Sausage should be free, right? I think pizza. This is probably Team Turquoise. Then add cheese. And then Italian seasoning. This is just dried basil, which I've been really liking. Like a lot comes in this little thing. I think this was like $4. And that's it. So then, like I said, I've got the deep dish in there now. So when that pulls out, I'll show you how I carry it to the oven. Do you guys like my trivet? I love it. So that's what you guys are. You guys are not strangers here, only friends I haven't met. Well, I've met some of you, so that's cool. So I'm just about to take out my deep dish pizza and set it on here, and then I'll show you how I take this into the oven. Look how good that looks. So I'm gonna let that cool there. And then put this on here, because I've been known to touch that, because I forget that it's just hot out of the oven. So I've bumped up my temperature to 500 just right before I pulled this out. And now, taking the whole pizza. And just putting it right on the baking steel. So I forgot, this pizza took 25 minutes. It takes a little time for the dough to cook. I'm gonna let it cool in the pan for like 5 minutes, and I'll cut into it. The thin crust is only gonna take like 8 to 9 minutes. So it comes out really easily because I just put a little bit of oil. Of course I say that now. There you go. Put that to the side, and now we'll cut into it. Can you hear how crunchy that bottom is? Quiet on the set! Oh my gosh. But look at that gorgeous crust on the bottom. It's gonna be really hot, so I'm not gonna try it right yet, but it is, next best thing to having a baking steel is to bake it in a Lodge Cast Iron Skillet. Yum. I'm just about to take the thin crust out. You actually don't even need anything because the parchment paper is not hot. So normally I just pull it out this way. Okay, as soon as I said that, that's really never happened to me. Just grab the parchment paper and then put it on the board. So the parchment paper says that you can go to 450 degrees. I had this at 500. You can see it's a little like burnt on the, not burnt, but a little darker on the sides. Nothing wrong with that at all. And then I just throw this away. One time use only, but yes, look at that crust from the baking steel. Look at how good that is. It's still pretty hot. Yes. So let's do a taste test. Oh, and be sure to wash dishes in between pizzas so that you can get shit on your shirt. So this is the deep dish one and the cast iron skillet. Oh my god, it's so good. Can you hear how crunchy that is? So good. So what I'll do is I'm gonna put the links below for the baking steel that I have. It's the original one that's $89 now, and the Lodge Cast Iron Skillet that I have. So I have no affiliation with baking steel whatsoever. I just think it's the closest thing I've ever gotten to making a restaurant quality pizza at home. I had baking stones for years and years, and over the years they just cracked or broke. Those aren't inexpensive either, like 60 bucks. So for $89, if you do takeout pizza 3 times in a month, it'll pay for itself, and you won't ever have to order pizza out again. Because I mean, shit, look at this. You can make this at home. You can. I know you can. So hopefully I answered your questions. If not, just leave a comment below and I will answer it. And happy cooking. Did I stop this? Oh, I forgot to mention something that was really awkward, but I'm gonna leave it. Be sure to subscribe down below and hit the little bell to get reminders every time I post a new video, and give it a thumbs up if you like it. All right, I'll see you guys next time.